What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of Football Talk. That's right. I'm coming at you on the 18th of September, one day after Grand Theft Auto launched and came out, so hopefully you guys picked that up. But as always, thank you guys for listening to this simulcast. I don't even know what to call it, podcast, YouTube cast, simulcast. I don't even know. Thank you for listening to me talk about football. I'm going to bring in my trusty partner in crime a little bit later to talk about some NFL predictions and some college football predictions. There's not many college football games that are actually going on this week. They're actually worth looking into, honestly. Maybe a couple, but other than that, not really. So we will jump right into it. I hope everybody's doing okay on this Wednesday hump day. All right, so let's see. It's going to be the NFL scores from this past weekend. All right, so New England and Jets, they played last Thursday night on NFL Network in the rain and slop, and the Patriots win 13-10 in a sloppy game on both sides. Three interceptions by Geno Smith in the fourth quarter really put that game away for New England. So hopefully they can improve, but Patriots are 2-0, so moving right along. On Sunday, Atlanta and the Rams faced off in Atlanta. The Falcons hold on for the victory. They jumped out to a 28-3 lead in the second quarter, and they almost gave it away, only winning 31-24. So Atlanta improves to 1-1. Redskins and Packers, a later game that day. It was actually a 1 o'clock game, actually. Aaron Rodgers was magnificent. He dismantled Washington, and they win 38-20. It wasn't even close. Rodgers already had 3 touchdowns, 330 by halftime. So any kind of big game like that in the first half is always going to put somebody down pretty fast. So that's just how it is. But Buffalo and Carolina played at Ralph Wilson Stadium, and the Bills win at the end of the game, 24-23 on a beautiful touchdown pass from E.J. Manuel to Stevie Johnson. I'll be right back. Sorry, I had to tell my dog to be quiet. So the Bills win at the game on that beautiful touchdown pass in the back of the end zone to Stevie Johnson from E.J. Manuel. Bills are actually looking pretty good. They're gonna be pretty good here in the next couple of years, I think, definitely. So, but Chicago and the Vikings played. Bears win by a point as regulation expires. Jay Cutler led a pretty good drive and threw it to Bennett for a touchdown at the end of the game. That really kind of sealed the deal. It really did. I mean, 4 seconds left on the clock, so the field goal was good. Of course, the game ended 31-30 was the final score in that one. So, I have to commend the Vikings defense for putting up a fight. Definitely, I thought that Vikings would probably go in there and win. They almost did, and I would have been very surprised if they had done it, but I hope that they continue to do well. Minnesota's gonna be pretty strong, and the Bears, toilet seats and all, yeah. The Dolphins and Colts played at Lucas Oil Field, and the Fins win 24-20 in a great game. I watched that game. Mike Wallace had some great catches for the Philadelphia. Wow, for the Dolphins. Really good game in general. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I hate the Colts didn't win, but the Dolphins, they're looking pretty sharp. All right. Kansas City and Dallas, the Chiefs win big against Big D, 17-16. I believe it's actually the final score of that one. I didn't actually write that one down on accident just because I'm not really big of, we're gonna have to give Kyle some crap about this, but I'm not really that big of a Cowboys fan. I'm not really that big of a Chiefs fan, but it does not look good for me to not have that score for you guys. It was 17-16, so my memory was good on that one. So next game on my list, San Diego went into Philadelphia, and they win by a field goal at the end of the game, 33-30. Eagles drove late, scored too fast, and then that allowed for Novak to kick the winning field goal. Good game. Kind of glad to see San Diego get a win. And so Eagles and Chiefs actually play each other this homecoming weekend. Me and good old Kyle are going to talk about that in a little bit as we move on to the Ravens. Going against the Browns this week, Cleveland. The Ravens come back from behind, down 6-0 at halftime to win 14-6 in the second half. So it was a pretty sloppy game on both sides. Not really sloppy, just there wasn't really like a lot of offense actually. I don't know, it's kind of boring. Houston went into overtime. They went into overtime against the scrappy Titans, but they won 30-24 on a touchdown. The Titans are really impressive looking, I think. They're 1-1 right now, but I think that they will be pretty dangerous. I think that will be one of the better teams coming out of that division in the next couple of years. I could see them almost making the wild card if this kind of keeps up, with them winning close games or losing close games. So maybe they may get into the playoffs going, maybe 9-7 in a weak AFC. So, but Houston did win, which I was happy about. So they improved to 2-0. So that's how it goes. The Cardinals beat the Lions 25-21. Calvin Johnson had a huge game, but that wasn't enough to hold off the young Cardinals and their great defense. And Carson Palmer is doing pretty good with Fitzgerald right now. New Orleans beat the Bucks 16-14 in a really good game. It was actually rain delayed, and the New Orleans only won by a field goal. I'm pretty sure they only kicked the field goal to win at the end. So, yeah, actually it was. I was not expecting that, but the Buccaneers are having a rough season. They're not allowed to wear their orange sickle jerseys now because of some player safety stuff with the helmets whenever they're first fitted. So who knows? But New Orleans, they win, which sucks because I'm not a New Orleans fan. So who knows? Oakland beats the Jaguars 19-9. Come on, people, it's the Jaguars. I have some friends or some acquaintances at college that are big Jaguar fans because we're only 2 hours away from Jacksonville. Yeah, I mean, Oakland. If Oakland beats you, then yeah. The Manning Bowl goes to Peyton as the Broncos win 41-23 against the Giants, the G-Men of New York. So this game, it was pretty close at the halftime, but other than that, Eli Manning started to throw his interceptions as usual, and the Manning Bowl is basically owned by Peyton at this point. He's 3-0 against his brother, and will probably be 3-0 from the rest of his career because I'm pretty sure this is Peyton's last year. If he doesn't win it this year, then he will go back next year and lose in the playoffs again. But that brings us to the Sunday night game as the Seahawks played the 49ers at CenturyLink Field in Seattle. The Seahawks destroy the 49ers 29-3. I was so impressed by the Seahawks. Even though they had like an hour delay of rain, it was one of the best showings by that defense I'd seen in a while. That secondary is dangerous. And I believe it was who said it? I think Trent Dilfer may have said it. I don't know. One of the whiteys that are on one of the white guys that are on Countdown said that they would not be surprised if Seattle gets into the playoffs and they have home field advantage. They should just cancel the NFC race and let the Seattle go into the Super Bowl, which I could see. Honestly, I could see it. It's not that 12th man is ridiculous. Moving over to Monday night, the Bengals beat the Steelers at home to go to win 20-10, but they improve to 1-1. Steelers dropped to 0-2 for the first time since 2002 when their quarterback was Maddox or Cordell Stewart, one of the two. I believe they may have shared that duty that year because I think Cordell Stewart got hurt that year. So if I ever go and work for the CBS affiliate that is in Atlanta, I will probably ask him that because that's where he is. I'll ask him, hey man, what year did you get hurt? So I didn't sound like an idiot on that podcast I did however many years back. So whatever. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the Steelers really improve here pretty soon. You just never really know. But we're going to go ahead and head over to the NFL predictions here in a second. But Seahawks looked really good. I really did enjoy seeing the Seahawks do well. I mean, I think they're a little bit better than the 49ers, honestly. In my opinion, they're better. A lot of people would probably not agree with me. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in Kyle for this NFL prediction segment. So here we go. Good afternoon, Kyle. How you doing? You are on Football Talk. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. So we're about to jump into the NFL predictions. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this, like I always am.
All right, so we're going to start off with the Thursday night matchup between Kansas City and Philadelphia. Who you got in this one?
I'm going to go with Kansas City, and the reason being is that I just think the Eagles' offense is going to be hard to stop just because of the pace and everything of when you have put in the speed of the running back LaShawn McCoy, the speed of Michael Vick, the speed of guys like Deshaun Jackson and Jason Avant. It's the only weakness is, as we saw last week against the Chargers, is their defense. They may be able to put up some points, but when you can't stop anybody, especially when you're going up against the Chargers offense that is inconsistent as it is, I got to go with the Chiefs this week. The Chiefs looked impressive against my boys last week, and I got to go Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have the Chiefs winning and going 3-0 as Reed returns home to Philadelphia. That would be interesting.
They're treating it like it's the Super Bowl in Philadelphia.
Well, I mean, it really is, though. I mean, you have to think. I mean, it's the first time that their coach that they had for, 12, 13, 14 seasons is finally coming back home that, they basically ran out because he kind of had burnt out with the players. So I think Kansas City will also win just because their defense is pretty studly right now. And
you look at that secondary, Eric Berry, Flower. I mean, some of those guys are just really come on in the last week.
Yeah, definitely. And their offense is pretty steady, too. They like to run the ball a lot.
Alex Smith has been a huge pickup for them, and obviously Andy Reid has as well.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the Packers and Bengals as the Packers head into Cincinnati. I think the Packers will win, obvious reasons, but because I think the running game is really going to get going here early in the season, really drive them pretty far. I think Starks will have a good game again, but you got Aaron Rodgers and you got that defense is starting to step up again. And I think they may shut down AJ Green in that Bengals attack. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm going to start with the Packers here. The Packers look very good. Now, granted, the Redskins, I think, have taken a step back from last year, and I don't think they have this year. I think the Packers, if they could find a steady run game, I think Lacey's going to be out again this week, so Starks are going to have the opportunity. But the Bengals also have a solid run defense. We don't know about that, but the secondary of the Bengals can get torched at points, and they have lapses in judgment, which is why Rodgers is going to be able to pick some of them apart from time to time. Now going over to the Bengals side, barely lost in week 1 at Chicago. Actually should have won that game. It should be 2-0 at this moment. But beat the Steelers at home, that's their home field. But I gotta go with a more experienced team right here. I gotta go Packers.
Yep. I'm glad you did that. Yeah. We probably wouldn't be friends if you had picked somebody else. Falcons head into Miami, and I think Miami will beat a broken down team in Atlanta. Honestly, I think Miami will destroy them. Honestly, not like destroy, like run up the score, but I think they'll have a better game than the Falcons will.
I think that the Dolphins right now are trending upward in terms of now week 1 they went on the road at Cleveland. And I mean Cleveland's a lost cause, but they still won by 13. And then last week the real test is what happened as they go into Indianapolis to beat the Colts. And Tannehill made some really good throws in that game. And now the interesting dichotomy about that offense is if they can get the running game to be consistent, the thing is teams are going to have to double team Miles Morales. This speed showed last week. I think a lot of people counted on how poor performance is because when teams have to double him, it opens up lanes for guys like tight end Clay, Brian Hartline, other guys like that. And that's going to be tough for some teams to stop, but I think the Falcons, with their undersized secondary, may not be able to do that this weekend. And with the injuries they sustained, I got to go Dolphins. Yeah,
I think the Dolphins are – I honestly think that the AFC East may actually be one of the more competitive divisions for the first time in a long time.
When you think about the Jets and Bills are going to go at it this weekend, that'll be an interesting match. We'll obviously get to that in a minute, but
yeah,
that division is becoming very competitive.
Yep. The Cowboys host the Rams, and I have the Cowboys winning to go 2-0 and bouncing back from that loss against the Chiefs.
I think so too. They come home, they get to play a Rams team, and it's tough on the road, and I just think it'll help them a lot. And I think when it comes down to it, when you put Dez Bryant, guys like Miles Austin, other guys like that, it's just on the Rams defense secondary solid. When you have to go up against those weapons like Witten, all those guys, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, Witten's the big boy. He'll probably get quite a bit of yards this weekend.
And he's a safety blanket. I mean, you got to put it in a safety blanket.
Yeah. The Titans and Chargers play this weekend. I have the Titans actually winning this one in a thriller. I think the Titans the Titans are pretty scrappy.
Where is the game being played?
I believe in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Titans will win. I really do. I think they're maybe a better team than I think they are actually a better team.
Like you just said, the Titans are a very scrappy team. They've come on strong lately. Bernard Pollard, I'm fine. I think they need to address that because he's no suspect to being for the dirty hits. But they are a scrappy team, as they showed last week in Houston. I think, though, San Diego showed me a lot last week after having a debilitating loss in Week 1 after they had the Texans beat. Should be 2-0, but to come back on the road and beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia impressed me a lot. That's why I'm going with the San Diego Chargers this week.
Yeah, I could, just kind of thinking what you just said, the Chargers are almost, if they have a strong September, they may be in the reverse of what they used to be, where maybe they're starting off kind of slower, and then maybe they may hit their stride in November, and hey, they may be a playoff team this year. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, their defense is pretty studly. I think their defense is pretty good.
Underrated defense. Very underrated defense.
Quentin Jammer's a good cornerback, so.
Impressive.
Yeah. Cleveland, the good old Browns, head into Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I have the Vikings winning and the Browns going 0-3 this week.
That's 100% agreeable. I think the Vikings, tough. I mean, first week they go into Detroit, struggling on offense and lost. Last week was a heartbreaker to Jay Cutler and the Bears. And I think they come home, and I think they give an old-fashioned beat down to the Cleveland Browns. I think Peterson goes loose. And I think one name you'll hear a lot this weekend will be Greg Jennings. And if Greg Jennings is not Greg Jennings, then it will be Cordero Patterson. Because I think one of those receivers is going to break out this weekend. I just think the Browns right now are trending downward. I think they're going to have to draft a new quarterback next year if Wheaton doesn't pick it up.
Hold on, so the Browns are going downward? I thought, when were they on the upslope? You know? Oh.
Well, I mean, they were optimistic. Richardson's still improving, but I mean, you just got to get a better team around him.
Yeah, that defense isn't that bad either. Like, the defense really isn't that bad.
Joe Hayden's really the staple of that defense. If he'll be on Jennings or Patterson this weekend, that's what I'm saying. One of those two is going to go off. So whoever Hayden's covering, I don't think he has a shot. Because Hayden's one of the best shutdown corners in the league.
Yeah. Bucks head into Foxborough against the Patriots. I have the Patriots winning because I don't think that Belichick would allow them to lose or to lose a game after being poopy against the Jets. So, I could see the Buccaneers winning just because Revis knows that offense a lot. But I see the Patriots winning, honestly.
I agree with that, but I would not, like I said, I agree with you in the fact that I would not say this is the type of game. 1 o'clock kickoff in Foxborough last year. I mean, it's kind of an interesting dichotomy there. I think teams can go on a 1 o'clock kickoff in Foxborough, sometimes can get the pass. They usually kick off around that time, but I just think that teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're overestimating them, and I think the Tampa Bay can walk in there and do it, but I just think Belichick's going to have those guys ready, and I think they're going to take care of business. And for the Buccaneers side, I think this is becoming do or die for Mr. Josh Freeman, because if he does not step it up and show that he is the franchise quarterback before the end of the season, you may be seeing a change in the guard of Tampa Bay quarterback. Yeah,
I think Greg Schiano's a good coach. So I don't think they should get rid of him. I think Freeman's a good quarterback. He just needs to get his head straight, and he needs to get to it. But I know he won't. I bet he won't get an extension if they lose again.
Oh yeah, they won't. No way.
Yeah. Arizona, the Cardinals head into the Superdome. And I have Fitzgerald running wild, and the Cards win big against the New Orleans.
Now, the thing that has impressed me the last 2 weeks about the New Orleans Saints is they've only allowed 31 points in 2 games. Last year, you probably couldn't have said that. But this year, the Saints defense may be very underrated. They did lose a very big loss to Robinson last week, probably to an ACL. We don't know what the extent of the injury is. He did get carted off. I do think the Saints win this game. I just think they get ready at the Superdome. I think Breeze is fine. With Peyton back, I really think this helps this team. And I think the Cardinals, If this was in Arizona, I'd probably pick the other way around. But the Cardinals will turn it around at some point this season. I think Palmer's the right guy for there, and you got a good defense with Peterson and Tyrann Matthew. So, but I just don't think they go into the Superdome and win this weekend.
Yeah. Hold on real quick, Kyle. We're going to have to stop this real quick. Okay, so we're back. So, Kyle, who you got in the New Orleans game?
I've got New Orleans because the defense is very overrated and they're going to rise up in front of the Superdome.
All right, cool. So, sorry about that delay, people. I had to answer a text and a phone call related to something from school. So, we're moving on. Detroit and Washington. I have the Lions winning on the road, and the Redskins go 0-3 because unless Shanahan starts Cousins, I don't see any improvement in this offense.
I just, like I said, without RG3 at full strength, you really don't know what you're going to get out of the Redskins, and it looks abysmal. Truly, I just think their defense isn't as good. I think the Lions win this game, and I think people in Washington start saying, like, what's wrong? We won the division last year. What's wrong? And I just, I guess we don't know at this point. Yeah,
definitely. So you think the Lions will win?
I do think the Lions will win.
Yeah, me too. The Giants head into Carolina. I'm picking the Panthers to win because I think Eli will throw another 20 interceptions this game like he did last week and the year before that. Or in the week before that, sorry. And the year before that. How about that? But, yeah, Panthers. I think the Panthers will win just because I think Cam Newton will have a probably good game. So.
Well, I think Cam will play a better game. I think he's going to have to play a better game. After losing at the gun last week, Panthers are going to play pissed-off football. They're 0-2. They're both 0-2. The loser of this game really is in deep trouble within the division. And I just think the more desperate team wins this game. And I'm going to go because last year New York went to Carolina in prime time and beat the Panthers. I think the Panthers are ready for this game. And I agree with you. I think they knock off the New York Football Giants this Sunday.
Yep. Texans head into Baltimore. I'm picking the Texans. I have the past 2 weeks just because I believe the Texans have it this year, and I think they'll continue to win. I don't think they'll go undefeated, but I think they'll improve to 3-0 this week.
Now, last week they looked very shaky to me, and with the health of Andre Johnson and his concussion issue this week, you don't know. Ray Rice also an issue for the Baltimore offense. I think this comes down to a field goal. And I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. And here's why. I think Flacco, that he hasn't looked stellar the last 2 weeks. He's finally going to have a steady game. Sean is shaky, especially on the road. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens.
So you're thinking that Baltimore, who couldn't even score against the Browns in the first half, who only scored 14 points against the Browns defense, are going to win a game against the Texans, who have a better defense than that?
Yeah, I do think so. I think the defense will rise up for Baltimore as well.
I could see it just because A, they're in Baltimore, and B, they're in Baltimore. So I mean, that's home field advantage for you almost to the T, almost as much as the Seattle 49er game. The Bills and the Jets play this week as the Bills head into East Rutherford. I think the Bills will go and improve to 2-1. I think this will be a good game. I think it could go either way, but I think E.J. Manuel is going to have a better rookie season than Geno Smith will.
Now here's where I think E.J. Manuel's little high goes to a low for a little bit. I'm going with the Jets. I think Geno Smith's going to come home. They're going to be, that defense is better than a lot of people think. And I think the Jets go home, win in front of their home crowd, and improve to 2-1.
Yeah, I mean the Jets D kind of held. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with you. The Jets defense held a New England Patriots offense 13 points.
Yeah. Well, I was also about to say the Jets also held the Seattle Seahawks to only 3 points in the Super Bowl. So only win by 3 points, right? That's a little bit Madden lingo for anybody that didn't know. So, like I said, I can see it going either way, but I think the Bills may win this game. You never know. I mean, they'll both either go to 2-1, so it's good for that division. I'm excited to see what those teams will do, especially Buffalo. Definitely Buffalo.
They got Conor Man at quarterback after the impressive performance by E.J. Manuel last week.
Yeah. Colts and 49ers play. I had the 49ers bouncing back and having a good game with the Colts, but they will win ultimately, honestly. 49ers, I don't think they'll lose 2 straight. I think Harbaugh would probably rip them a new one if they did.
Yeah, and at home in front of the fans at Candlestick, it's going to be tough, especially with the Colts' weaknesses on the offensive line, especially with that D-line strength of the Niners. They're going to get to us multiple times, force him out of the pocket, and I just don't think the Colts can handle that. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers in this one.
Yep. And then the good old game, one of the last games of Sunday, the Jacksonville Jaguars head up to CenturyLink Field to take on the Seahawks. The Hawks are going to have cat for dinner in that game and win big.
Yeah, I think the Hawks, I'm not going to go over this much. Hawks have the best defense in the league right now, best secondary in the league with Sherman, Browner, when Browner's back, and then when they're all back, they're healthy. I don't think the Jaguars haven't been able to stop anybody. There's no telling what the Seahawks are going to do. Seahawks win big.
Yeah, especially if they couldn't even stop the Raiders. The Bears and Steelers play Sunday night on NBC, and sadly, I'm gonna have to go with the Bears. But I mean, I believe it's in Pittsburgh, so there's always that edge for the Steelers, but their offense can't do crap, and their defense is good. Their defense is really good, but I think that the Bears will win just because the Steelers' offense can't produce right now. Todd Haley sucks as an offensive coordinator, so.
Yeah, they're calling for Haley's head as offensive coordinator. Apparently, him and wide receiver Antonio Brown got into a physical argument on Monday Night Football after the loss to the Bengals. And I think I agree with you 100% that the Steelers have a bunch of issues right now. Defensively, a lot of the injuries. Offensively, really no consistency. But the one consistent they have is they're very good at home in primetime games.
Yeah.
And if all the 2-0 teams, I think the Bears have the most to prove, because I'm not sold on them yet. They beat an okay Bengals team right now. I do think the Bengals will end up being good, but then they barely beat the Vikings at home, and I don't think the Vikings are much this year, especially with Christian Ponder. They had to beat them at the gun. I'm going with the Steelers. I think they rise up. They know their backs are against the wall. I think Mike Tomlin gets them ready, and they stun the Steelers they should stun the Bears on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I hate that I had to pick the Bears, but again, the Steelers have the home field. And my dad, I was a big Steelers fan. He was talking about how I guess they're gonna have to go 14-2, right? And I was like, nah, they're gonna go 13-3 because they have to go up to Lambeau and play in December. So, so my dad's picking them to win, 13 or 12 in a row. So, I mean,
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but I guess a man can dream, right? So moving over to Monday, Oakland and Denver. I'm gonna make somebody bust a nut whenever I say this. The Raiders will win on a Janikowski field goal because Janikowski can kick 63-yarders at the mile high. So I mean, I think Janikowski will win it for him on a field goal. Honestly, that'd be hilarious.
So fast there. This is not even be close. The Broncos' offense is just too dynamic to stop when you got Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, Julius Thomas, the three-headed monster running back. I wouldn't call it a three-headed monster yet, but I think it will end up being that way. I mean, there's just so much. And when you have, obviously, Peyton Manning now, huge loss today for the Broncos in the future. Left tackle Ryan Clady is done for the season. And I think that is a huge loss, and that's really making me rethink everything in the playoff predictions. I think Clady meant so much to that team as they're probably their premier tackle. But Raiders still a rebuilding process. Pryor may be their guy. He looked okay. We'll see what he does in a primetime matchup against the Broncos. But I got the Broncos big.
Yeah, I think if I was the defensive coordinator, I'd pull Richard Seymour off the line and put him on the left tackle side and let him just run wild like he used to. Put him in the end slot and let him go against whoever's the backup going into that game. I think the defense on either side will win this game. Honestly, it's Peyton Manning, but if the Raider defense tightens up and Woodson has a good game, because I still believe Charles Woodson is probably one of the best defensive players in the league. If he has a big game against Manning, then again, I'm just saying it just because I want to, because I don't want Broncos to do good because I hate John Elway. So if Janikowski wins on the field goal, I mean, I'm going to sound like a genius, but, I don't know. So those are the predictions and our picks for the NFL season. We're going to go ahead and head over to the NCAA. I've only got, maybe a handful, maybe 12 games that have really stuck out to me because this week in college football, there's really nothing going on, honestly. And we'll start with tomorrow. Is it tomorrow night game? That's Clemson and NC State?
Clemson and NC State?
Yeah, is that tomorrow night?
Yes, it is.
All right, well, we'll start with that one. Clemson and NC State. I think Taj Bowie will win this game, but of course I got to root for NC State, but I think Clemson will win.
I agree with you. I think Clemson's offense is another, in the college game, as monster. If Bryant can get it going, there's redshirt freshman wide receiver. You got Sammy Watkins going against a rebuilding secondary of NC State. You got Taj Boyd, who, in my opinion, is I would put second in the Heisman voting right now, right behind Marcus Mariota of Oregon. I just think, and NC State, they're not as good as they were last year when they knocked off Florida State. I'm going with the Clemson Tigers. Yeah,
it pains me to pick against the Wolfpack, since I did do that whole Return to Primetime series, which we beat Clemson twice in. But, I think Clemson will win in real life, unlike they did in the game. Florida and Tennessee, this is an interesting game. I think that Florida will probably win, but I think Tennessee will give them a run for their money, honestly.
I do think this will be a very competitive game. I think Florida is very overrated. Their offense has really looked stagnant, and I honestly don't think Florida is just one of those teams to me that their offense is not good enough to sustain a very good record. I think they're going to go 8-4.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee's going to give them a good ball game, but Tennessee's not quite there yet in the terms of first-year head coach Butch Jones. I'm going to go for the Florida Gators. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know. Tennessee, I think, I don't know. Tennessee, they're interesting. They'll
John Neal, one of the staples of the offense. I just think their defense is very solid. Well, was supposed to be solid up until last week, but
yeah.
I'm going to go with the Gators.
Yeah. Michigan State heads into Notre Dame to take on the Irish. I gotta go with my boys. I gotta go with the Spartans. They're 3-0, but playing in Notre Dame is pretty tough. But I'm still gonna go Michigan State just because I can't pick Notre Dame. My soul will literally burn. I will go to hell before I pick Notre Dame's playing. I should say that. No, I'm just playing. No, I'll still take the Spartans though over the Irish.
I gotta go with the Irish. I'm sorry, I got to because you think. Michigan State's offense really hasn't had any consistency. It's really their defense that has carried them to this 3-0 record. And I just think Notre Dame is a more well-rounded team, very good defense. Shaky offense at times, but they can put up points. Tommy Reed is a lot better than I give him credit for. So I'm going to go with the Irish as they defend their home turf.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll see you in hell, Kyle. University of Lafayette Monroe plays Baylor this week. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of picked this one because ULM they can be pretty deadly, but I think Baylor will probably win this game.
Yeah, so ULM was one of those teams that can step up and win a big game, but against an offense like Baylor, I just don't. I think Baylor's offense is one of the more interesting things in the college world this season. Is them in Oregon, I think, putting up more points than McDonald's puts down Big Macs in a day.
Or Mark.
No.
Yeah, they do put up a lot of points, don't they?
Yeah, I gotta go with the Bears.
All right, Arizona State coming off that beautiful win against Wisconsin plays Stanford this week. Stanford's gonna win unless something happens with a Big Ten crew this week.
I think Arizona State's gonna run into the proverbial wall of karma. They're lucky to escape that win last week because the refs, and we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that ref's blunder in a minute. But
I sound like a genius because I picked them last week. You know that, right?
Yeah. I picked Wisconsin. I'm sorry.
I was just like, Arizona State's gonna win that game, Yeah, and then they do. I felt pretty good about that. I was like, oh, didn't I actually pick that last Wednesday? Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I?
See, you did, but we'll get to the rest in a minute. But I
Yeah.
think they're going to run into the proverbial wall of karma. Stanford's front seven on both sides. It's just, oh, man.
I love Stanford.
It'll be tough to stop.
Yeah.
And with the quarterback Hogan improving drastically, I think, and the wide receiver coming out party for Mr. Montgomery last week, I do think Stanford at home wins. I'm going to go by 7.
7? Yeah, Arizona State has a decent air raid offense, so I mean it'll be a good game to watch. SMU heads into Kyle Field to take on the Aggies. A&M's gonna win this game.
Aggies so close last week. Obviously, the incredible performance from Johnny Manziel. Manziel, very over 500 yards alone. I mean, and people counted him out before talking about another Heisman for him, which is baffling to me. But he's gonna put up more numbers this week against a weak SMU defense. Texas A&M. It won't. Now Texas A&M's defense will give up a sure amount of points because they give up more. They could give up 50 points to a Pee-wee team, but
Yeah, and it's June Jones, so you know his offense is gonna be pretty good.
But I gotta go A&M.
Yeah.
A&M by a couple touchdowns.
Now, probably one of the better matchups of the week, other than really the Clemson-NC State game, in my opinion, or the Stanford game, or the Michigan State game. Honestly, there's actually a few games that are actually kind of enticing to watch that in a field that really isn't. There's nothing really to watch. Auburn and LSU play each other this week. The battle of the undefeated Tigers. LSU playing in their Death Valley. I don't think it's really, to me, it's not the real Death Valley, but who you got in this one, Kyle?
I'm going with LSU at home. A night game inside Tiger Stadium. It's tough to win. Always has been. Always will be. I mean, in Auburn, not a fine product yet. They've had 3 games against 3 okay teams. Mississippi State is down. Arkansas State is down. Washington, and coming over from Malzahn coming over from that school kind of probably helped. I just think LSU will fine-tune at this point, and LSU is prepping for a big showdown next week with the Georgia Bulldogs. It will be close because I think they're going to get caught looking ahead early, but I do think LSU wins, and I think they win by 10.
Yeah, I hate both teams. So my opinion on this is that I want to see the ranked team go down, but I also don't want to mean that. I don't want that also to mean that like a team like Georgia gets into that top 5 or top 10 or move up. So I'm going to go with LSU probably winning, even though I'm not going to root for anybody in this game because I literally could not root for anybody in this game. I hate LSU, but I guess I'm not going to root for them, but I think they'll win. So, North Carolina plays Georgia Tech, I believe in Atlanta this week, and I'm going to pick the good old Yellow Jackets to run that triple option all over that Tar Heel defense.
The Tar Heel defense is okay, but I do think the interesting thing that Georgia Tech has an improved passing game this year. They have more of a dynamic passer in Yed Lee. I think they're going to defend their home turf, and I'm going to hopefully see them play next Thursday night against Virginia Tech. I'm going to get a good look at them this Saturday as well. I think they take an early step towards winning that wide open coastal division in the ACC. They take down North Carolina State at home this weekend.
Hold on. So whenever you say that there's a good old passing game in Georgia Tech, do you mean they pass more than 3 times a game now?
Yep, surprisingly.
Yeah, I know it's a joke because they never, and whenever they do pass, they suck at it. That's what it was last year. Good old 6-6 team winning that division. Hey, all right. Pittsburgh and Duke plays each other this week. I'm gonna go with the Dukies. They're at home, so I gotta go with Duke because I believe in that team, especially after I did some Return to Primetime videos with them. Just because they got to a bowl last season, I was really proud of them, and it's kind of like the evolution from basketball. Maybe their football team starting to do something instead of being the laughing stock of the ACC. But stop laughing. I think that I think the Duke will win this game against Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh will play it tight, and I think it will be a good game through and through. But I think Duke will probably win. I'm going to root for Duke in this one, even though I like Pitt.
I got Duke as well, and I just think I'm going to go with them because David Cutcliffe has done an incredible job as a head coach over there in Durham. Pitt, still shaky as a team. Have their chance to prove themselves against Florida State at home. Really haven't done that. Like I said, I'm going with Duke, and I think it's on the rise again.
Yeah. Kansas State and Texas plays each other. I'm going with Kansas State because I've picked Texas the last 3 weeks, and Texas seems to lose. So I'm going to go with Kansas State. Even though they suck too. I mean, this is going to be like one of those games that you want to watch because it will probably come down to somebody winning 2-0, or even 3-0, which is more points than the Falcons scored against the Giants a couple seasons ago in the playoffs. I didn't mean to take that shot to any Falcons fans, but at least the Packers put up a little bit more points than 2. This got me all. I can't even talk about it now. So I think this game will be come down to 3 points, either 3-0 or 3-6, or it will be a complete blowout for one of the, I don't even know. This game's gonna be interesting to watch.
And I agree with that on that, but I just think Texas right now, Mac Brown's on the hot seat. You don't know. I mean, the last 2 weeks they've gotten obliterated, especially at home last week to Ole Miss. I mean, you don't know. They bring in a new defensive coordinator, and he gets up 44 points in his first game. Kansas State's no jewel either. They lost to North Dakota State at home when they had a lead. I think a more desperate team wins here. I think Texas finally rises up. It will be close. It's going to come down to the final minutes. Actually, I think it's going to go into overtime. Texas in double overtime.
Well, then I'm going to back you up on that. I'm going to say Kansas State in 5 overtimes. How about that? That's how long it's going to take them to win that game against Texas. I'm just playing. I don't even know, man. I want to watch the end of the games to see what the score is at that point. But who knows? It may be a complete blowout, or it may actually be a good game. You never know. 2 bad teams playing each other can also come up and be actually pretty good. USC and Utah State. USC's playing another home game already. And I think USC is going to beat Utah State just because I got to go with my Trojans. I know you hate them. I know you hate Lane Kiffin. I hate Lane Kiffin's guts too. But I think that USC will win this one at home.
I agree with you. I think USC wins this one. Utah State's not the powerhouse. They've never been a powerhouse. They've had their fair share of close upsets, but I just think right now, as we look at it, you think USC's finally going to probably start hitting their groove. They looked good against Boston College last week. I think they're finally hitting their stride. Kiffin, this makes save Kiffin's job if they can keep winning. I hope not, but...
Well, I want them to win, but then I want Kiffin to get fired. How about that? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yep.
So, but I agree with you. I do think USC wins this game.
Yeah. So Friday night's game, kind of going backwards one day, Boise State and Fresno State played each other, which will probably be a really good game. Fresno State was in a game against Rutgers that they won 52-51 in the first week of football. I think Fresno State, I don't know. It's gonna be a good game. I don't know who. I don't know. I want to hear what your thing is before I kind of make my pick.
And I'm gonna go with Fresno in this game. I think Boise is very good on offense, but I think Fresno's got the edge. I think Fresno could go to the BCS this year. I think the Carr is an incredible quarterback for them, and they really hit a corner, turned the corner there at Fresno. Boise State's gonna go in there with a chip on their shoulder, but I do think Fresno edges them out late in the fourth quarter. I just think this is Fresno's year. If they can, I don't know if they will go to the BCS, but they got a shot to.
Yeah. I gotta go with Boise State. I like Boise State a lot. I think they should have been given some shots back in the day. Kind of like how Utah should have been given a shot whenever they destroyed Alabama that one year. Alabama fans just turned over and probably just turned it off after I just mentioned that. But I gotta go with Boise State. Again, I'll be happy whoever wins the game just because I'm excited for both of the teams. But Fresno is exciting to see them finally do something. Kind of like how San Diego State was actually kind of good a couple years ago. Or San Jose State, they have some decent years too. But I think Fresno State really kind of pumps out something because they used to be in the WAC, the West Athletic Conference that's not around anymore. So I think because I think they merged this season with the Mountain West. So I think Fresno will, I don't know. I'm still going with Boise State to win it, but I think it will be a good game no matter what. And we'll go ahead and move over to Saturday night's game, actually Saturday afternoon's game for Parent Weekend down here at Valdosta State University. The defending national champions, take on the Shorter football team from Shorter University. And who you got, Kyle?
I got Valdosta. Valdosta's got the better team. Valdosta's going to run right a bit in their home opener. They're going to start a quest for another championship.
Of course they will. I'm not going to that game because I don't want to have to be surrounded by all these parents that are like, oh, yeah, we're watching football with our kids. And I'm going to be like, whatever. So, but I'm probably the only two games I'm really going to go to is the West Georgia game and the game against Northern Alabama because Northern Alabama is our rival. So, but I think Valdosta State will, of course, win. Of course, I'm going to say Valdosta State's going to win. And a big update from last weekend, Georgia Southern fell to Wofford. So that was I didn't really expect that. I think I actually call Wofford to win that game? I don't know. I said it was probably one of the best rivalries ever, but I don't remember what.
I think you went Southern on that one.
Yeah, I have to go Southern. I'd probably get shot. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is the hood, man. I'm in the apartment complex, man. It's the hood. So those are the games we're kind of touching base on. So we're gonna kind of jump into a little bit of Heisman conversation for like the next couple minutes. You said that Marcus Mariota is your front runner, right?
Yeah, and Mariota, that offense. Now, granted, they haven't gone up against stellar competition, but when you put up that amount of points, now Nicholas State by far is the worst team, one of the worst teams. That'll be on anybody's schedule. They'll probably be on Louisville's schedule, knowing Louisville's schedule the rest of the year, but.
Well, why are they even on a BCS team schedule? These people should be scheduling these kind of games.
I understand that, but when you put a list on teams like Virginia and Tennessee back-to-back, they dropped 59 on both of them. And he runs that offense so well. He fits in that offense so well. Also, when you have explosive weapons like Anthony Thomas, other guys running that offense in there, they haven't missed a beat since Chip Kelly left. They have not missed a beat.
Yeah, I think Marcus Mariota is probably the top one for me, too. I just enjoy Oregon football. It's fun to watch. I love those unis last week. Those were so sick. I think probably second is either going to be Boyd for me or it will be Teddy Bridgewater or it will be Johnny Manziel. But I think second is probably Boyd just because I think Boyd, in all honesty, will probably have the best career of all of them because he's probably the best pocket passer and he's big, too. You know, I don't know. But I think Boyd was probably number 2 for me just because he's definitely turned around from his freshman year or sophomore year because he was a thug, man. He was not right, and then he came back
shaky.
And what?
He was shaky his sophomore year, but he really improved. And I think Boyd, I agree with you on the point where I think Boyd is probably the best suited and the best ready for the NFL. A lot of people said Teddy Bridgewater, but Bridgewater against Kentucky last week overthrew a lot of balls. He still has accuracy issues. Now, he's a great prospect. He needs to get a little bit bigger. But I do think Boyd is the best prototype if you're trying to get an NFL quarterback right now.
Yeah. How about your Wildcats, man? Holding their own. I was rooting for them last week.
Yeah, they held their own for a little bit, but Louisville pulled away late. So.
Yeah. And don't you? Wasn't I think it was last week I told you that it may have been on Football Talk or it may have just been on our own time talking that how the backup for Braxton Miller is a lot better than he is.
Oh, Kenny Guyton?
Yeah. I'll root for him. I hate Ohio State no matter what, but I like Kenny Guyton just because he's a beast. Like he's a lot more, I think, skilled in his passing and his decision making than Braxton Miller is right now.
And Guyton's got a cannon. So you can throw Braxton Miller out of the conversation for Heisman. After missing 2 games, you could really throw him out of the conversation now. And really missing most of the Buffalo game, you can really just throw him out of the conversation because he's not going to get a sniff of it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think Manziel has entered it again, if he continues it again. I don't know if they'll give it to him because of all the off-the-field issues, but if A&M gets close to the ACC championship game or even the national championship game, you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I mean,
the Heisman is not determined by off-the-field matters; it is determined by on-field success and what you do on the football field.
Well, that's interesting. I still don't agree with giving it to somebody that hasn't been in the spotlight for a long time. Like, I know he's a freshman and stuff like that, but the past couple ones, it's just been like, RG3, he had 2 good years and then he got it. But like Andrew Luck, he had 3 good years and he never got it. So I think the whole point of consistency is completely out the window at this point. And again, I'm not hating on Johnny Football at all, but I think that you don't need to give the Heisman traditionally was meant for an upperclassman, and to give it to a freshman or sophomore, I think is wrong. Which I don't think that's why Tebow should have gotten it. I think he should have gotten it his 3rd year. But I don't know. Like, I just don't think that giving it to a lower classman, if you represent the game of college football, don't give it to somebody that's only been there and only done something for 1 year. Let them have 2 or 3 years of really good stats and be like, hey, you've shown consistency for this many of years, so here we're gonna give you our most prestigious trophy, probably even more prestigious than the BCS championship at that point, and just be like, here, you're the best player in college football, and it's because you've been consistent throughout your career and not been a one and done. So.
Now getting to let's get to the Wisconsin-Arizona State issue.
Oh yeah.
How do you think it should have been handled?
Well, I've seen the tape quite a bit because they've been showing it a lot, like on ESPN. I think that Wisconsin guy definitely put his knee down. Okay.
I agree with that.
And the clock wouldn't have stopped anyways. I don't believe. And now, I think what the defense did by laying on top of the ball is the same thing that the 49ers did by laying on top of Randall Cobb. It's still delaying the process of the ball being moved forward and being spotted. And so, it's not the fault of the officials as much as, it is the fault of the officials, definitely. But I think that the officials should have gotten the ball, placed it, and let them go and do their thing because he was going to spike the ball. And so they should have at least stopped the game, flagged the defense because you can flag the defense for delay of game because they do that, and that didn't happen. That's why, and then the Pac-12 came out and said that this is like an atrocity. This shouldn't have happened. This is why you don't schedule these type of games and then you put whatever, even if it was a Big Ten crew. If it was the same situation for Arizona State and the Big Ten crew was doing it, they wouldn't have done it. It's the same thing. You don't put a Pac-12 crew with an out-of-conference play,
Exactly.
and then you don't put
I'm going to point out a great valid point. You don't put officials from the conference at home. It's not even supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be the team on the road with officials. You have the Big Ten officials, but yet they put Pac-12 officials on those games, and you see what happens.
Yeah, and don't even it's like, don't even schedule those games. You have plenty of people in your conference to play your 12 games. You could even go like Michigan. Look at Michigan. Okay, this is not hating on Michigan. This is just an example. Michigan, they play one out of conference game against Notre Dame. Well, they used to. I don't know if they'll continue to do that, but they play one out of conference game, and then they have 9 other people in their conference they could play. And then maybe you could throw, I don't know, maybe like a ACC team in there, but have it at an actual neutral site. Having Syracuse play Penn State at freaking MetLife is not a neutral site. Or whenever Boise State came all the way across the country to play Virginia Tech in Washington, Virginia Tech, that's a 3-hour drive to Washington, D.C. That's nothing. That's not even a neutral site. Put it right in the middle. Put it in St. Louis. Put it in, New Orleans, for heaven's sakes.
I'm going to point out something to your credit there. Notre Dame and Arizona State are playing a neutral site game this year, and that's in Texas.
That's still not neutral site.
But it's at least common ground.
Yeah, I would put it, if it was, all right, so Notre Dame's coming from the north, put it in like freaking Florida, put it in Miami, put it in some place that is traditionally neutral, where you have Arizona. That's not that far to come, honestly. Where is it actually? Is it in Dallas? Is that where you said it was?
Yep, it is in Texas.
That is, it depends on where. It's where?
At Cowboy Stadium.
Cowboy Stadium? Okay. It's a lot farther for Notre Dame to come. Like I've gone through Texas and because I used to live out in Arizona. They, I mean, it's still not neutral. I mean, and if you're gonna have these out of conference games, I mean, the Pac-12. I mean, you have 12 teams in there. One team. I mean, that's enough for a whole season with one possible tune-up game at the very beginning of the season. Okay. SEC, for heaven's sakes, they have plenty of teams to be able to play and do their stuff. ACC has plenty of people to be able to do their stuff. The Big 12, the Mountain West, everybody has enough to play in-conference ball without having to have these kind of situations come about. Having a same conference officials. I mean, put SEC officials on that. Put ACC officials on that. Put Mountain West. Go out to freaking Hawaii and grab two people off the street for them to come and officiate. They probably better do a better deal than that.
Conference officials on conference games at home. But if it was another way around, and if it was at Wisconsin, I agree with it. But when you put them in Arizona State, I just don't think that's right. And I'm glad they were reprimanded by their conference, and not only that, the NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been the exact same thing with me if it had been Big Ten officials and the same thing had happened. Even if the same thing had happened to Wisconsin with Big Ten officials, even that kind of thing would even be even kind of worse in a way. But I mean, it's what's done is done. But it sucks to see that kind of thing happen. I don't think to me it's not as bad. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy. To me, it's not as bad as the TCU game against Texas Tech. That was more than just one call.
Exactly. They call it catch interference. That was blatantly Texas Tech guy interfering with another player, but yet they call it TCU. And then not only that, they called it was clearly a fumble recovered by TCU, and then no, it's not. They missed multiple. That was probably not the only call thing in that game. Yeah. They screwed TCU.
Yep. I agree on that. It was just, I don't know.
What's wrong with officiating now?
It reminded me, college football, or in football in general, it's not as bad as it used to be. Oh, let me rephrase that, okay? These couple of games and this officiating has, especially in the NFL with like push-offs and hits and the quarterbacks getting like the roughing the passer, and I understand helmet to helmet, but like some of the push-offs, offensive pass interference, it's starting to turn into the NBA, which is just, I cannot watch the NBA finals anymore. I cannot watch the NBA game whenever you have the big name people come in because it's always one-sided. If you go back and watch and look at, this is kind of getting off topic a little bit, but if you go back and look at some of the free throw totals from anybody that has big name people on their team compared to the teams that don't have as much, they're triple or even quadruple amount of free throw attempts as everybody, and that's
go look at a heat box score against maybe Charlotte or Utah or something like that, and you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yep, and so that's kind of transitioning over to the NFL and into the NCAA college football, where like how if you're a big name person, or if you're a star, or if you're, I understand player safety, okay? I think it's great, but we don't want it to turn into, I think right now, excuse me, that's burped, the NCAA game is a lot more physical than the pro game, but I think the pro game is a little bit better right now just because the BCS hinders the NCAA game to me, just based on how that whole ranking system goes on, and that's even fickle. That reminds me a lot of how the NBA works too, is the ranking system and stuff like that. So, but the officiating is just, I don't know what it is in the NCAA that tends to do that, and like why it's starting to kind of creep over from basketball, which crept over from a little bit from soccer, but definitely basketball has set the standards of bad officiating, and it's definitely come down to the NCAA and just how it's just, I mean, these past 2 weeks, those two games that we just talked about have just been like, you kind of look at it and you're like, what? Like, why is this happening? Isn't this football? Isn't this pretty much simple stuff to understand? You can't hold the guy, you can't push off to get a first down against the Packers. I mean, I'm not fickle about that or anything, but it just, I don't know. They need to look at some stuff like that, and NCAA really they've got to get there. They've really got to get some balls. Their balls have finally got to be able to drop.
I got to crack down and make sure mistakes like these don't happen that determine outcomes of games like this.
Yeah, it can spoil the outcome of the game. I mean, it does spoil the outcome of the game, but it can really just spoil kind of how people feel about the game in general. Like, football is one of the best games in the world.
Most popular sport in America.
Yeah, to me, it's not the best sport in the world, just because, like, in the world, like, the entire earth, I think soccer is a lot more of a binding of people. It brings a lot of people that hate each other together. And so it doesn't heal as much as soccer does, in a way, quote unquote heal. But I think football is probably the second best to me, just because it's so tight. It's probably my favorite sport to watch. But it just to see this kind of thing happen. And I love basketball. And just talking about the officiating, it crept over into the NCAA tournament this year. I was so disgusted. Temple got screwed. God, I don't know, man. It just.
I didn't know when a held ball became 1 second. It's usually 2 or 3, but nope, 1 second.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember that.
And then when Trey Burke in the national championship I know we're getting off topic because this is coming off sports talk, but when Trey Burke gets a clean block in the national championship, even the replays and the slow-mo cameras caught it's a clean block, they call a foul in the national championship game, and that really hit it over a little.
Yep. Well, we better stop now before we start getting into, like, hernia mode at this point.
Yeah, but before we go, make a point here. Dodgers tonight push the division. Baseball playoffs are coming up. That's coming up in 2 weeks. It'll be interesting. It'll be fun. I love baseball. We're getting into the playoff mode and getting more into custom football mode. But we'll see teams start to clinch the divisions. If you're a fan of any team that's about to clinch the division, Red Sox, Tigers, A's, Dodgers, Braves, Cards, teams that are going to make the playoffs, or your team is fighting for a playoff berth, good luck to your team unless you're a Red Sox fan, unless you're a Cardinals fan. Sorry, Tyler.
That's cool.
Good luck. And if you're an Indians fan, no. I just want to see some teams. I really want to see the Royals make it, but I'm excited for the baseball playoffs, and I hope we'll talk about that in a few weeks when the playoffs do come around.
Yeah. Yep. But definitely go Orioles, and I don't really want to get a hernia before I hop on the GTA and get one on there. So, or before I go and wrestle Cena at WrestleMania and get 85 like The Rock did. Old man Dwayne. So this has been Football Talk, guys. Kyle, you can go ahead and sign yourself off, and then I'll sign us off in general.
Thank you very much once again, guys. And for one thing, yes.
Later. Yeah, so, anyways, didn't mean to go on that rant, but, you know how it goes. You know how it is. Football can get people together. It can also make people kill each other, as we saw last year in the playoffs in the NFL. But definitely check out the games this weekend, and let's root the Baltimore Orioles on to victory. They need to get into the playoffs. They do. If you're not a Baltimore Orioles fan, yeah. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for listening. The rants had ensued and had to stop before everybody died. So see you guys next time. Thank you guys for listening to Football Talk Episode 4, coming at you from my good old apartment here in Valdosta State, at Valdosta State University, but in Valdosta, Georgia, close to the line of Florida. Always sunny in Florida, right? See you guys.